I'm going to go quick, and I am going to go fast. Now, the reason why I'm doing this story later at night is because I did not manage my time correctly. I had a whole adventure doing this whole weekend. I had a whole adventure. Now, this story is not a good story, bad story, a sad story. It's all of them. Now, the character is played by me only for this reason. This story is the reason why I have to play the character. So I'm going to play this character in 3 films. The first one where he is framed for doing something at his school. Second one where he's framed for being a pedophile. Third one where he is just dead. Now, the reason why I have to play this character is because why would you have a guy who's not a virgin play this character? If a virgin plays the character who's framed as a pedophile, framed as sexually assaulting somebody, that's not likely. And since when are people virgins in Hollywood? Huh? Exactly. Now, I'm playing this character for the one reason. You cannot put anything against me. This is only going to be made by me playing the character for the reason that I would never do any of this. None of this would ever be done by me. This is a character. All these people are just characters. The inspiration from this just came from a story I heard on YouTube from a documentary. Alright? So none of these characters are real. None of these characters are directly from any other story. They're just dramatic. They're just dramatic imaginations of other things. Now, without further ado, let's hear the story. Cruz wakes up at his family's house where he gets a call from a car company accepting him to reassure their car's safety features. Cruz gets out of bed and drives to the drive-thru of a coffee shop to get some breakfast. He then finds the building. As he walks in, he tells the receptionist that he is here for the car testing job. The receptionist tells him to leave, since they obviously did not take any background checks on Cruz. And she obviously can tell who he is by the news. Cruz heads back to his car, where he gets an order on his mobile device. This order is telling him to ship food to a house that he has seemingly sent food to every day. Cruz adds a note onto the box of the food saying, "Thank you, George Pro Gamer, for paying my bills for all the ordering, but shouldn't you pick up your mail if your mailbox is crowded?" Cruz then drives away after dropping off the food, and he drives to the pawn shop, and he sells whatever he could find throughout the day, selling any trinkets that he found lying around the road. Cruz then walks to the soup kitchen to get paid $5 more. This $5 more for 1 hour of helping out give food to the homeless. Cruz then drives back home, where he gets confronted by detectives. Cruz sits down, and he is told that they found the murderer of his brother. Cruz says, "Let me guess, it was..." A detective interrupts him. The detective says, "Yes, Ellie. She killed him most likely due to creating the movie." Cruz says, "Is that all?" The detective says, "No. There were also texts that were explicit with a minor, and these texts were found at a crime scene. And this person was using your name." Cruz says, "Can't be him, since he never had his phone. He got it taken as contraband, and he bought a new one ever since he's been released." The two detectives say he still has to go. He still has to go to the police station and check for DNA, just in case any of his DNA was found at the crime scene. So Cruz gets into their cruiser and waits until he arrives at the police station. At the police station, he gives the necessary DNA samples. Once he's done, Cruz walks to the bar where he gets a few shots and a few drinks, when he is suddenly hit on by some cop. This cop must have been from the station. Cruz asks why this cop cares. The woman says, "You don't remember me?" Cruz thinks for a minute. Then he says, "Mrs. Smith?" The woman cop says that would be right, but he can call her Sarah. Cruz asks why she's a cop now. Why is his middle school teacher hitting on him? And isn't she married? She says she stopped being a teacher because cops get paid better, and she thinks that someone with so much stress must have some sort of stress relief. Also, her husband will be out of town for the month. Cruz keeps talking with her, and he later heads to her house. We flip to the next day. Cruz gets dressed and tells her goodbye, but she stops him. She tells him if he ever needs anything. She already put her phone number in his phone. Cruz thanks her for her help, but he still has to make some money, so he can't stay. She tells him to hop in her car. It's better that she drives him than he walks all the way home. Cruz agrees. Then he gets into her car, yet he pricks himself slightly, moving a few things from the front seat. Cruz sits and tells her where to drop him off. Cruz gets out of the car, and he gets back to his daily routine of working any side gig he can. But it gets interrupted with a message from Mrs. Smith. As he was delivering food, the message says, "Are you good at drawing? If so, you could probably help out right now." Cruz finishes his delivery, then he goes to the police station. Once he enters the police station, Sarah brings him to someone who was robbed. Cruz starts drawing, and once he's done, Sarah pays him. Cruz thanks her for giving him the job. Then Cruz leaves to do the other work, his other side gigs around the town. Over time, Cruz begins to adjust to the new job and having more money, so he also starts making better financial decisions. And he buys a pair of glasses to slightly enhance his vision while drawing. He also begins to crash at Sarah's house more often, since she comforts him when he's stressed. One morning, when Cruz wakes up at Sarah's house, his mother texts him, asking where he keeps sleeping. Cruz answers, "At my friend's house." His mother responds, "You're sleeping with your friend?" Cruz texts back, "I guess you could say so." Cruz gets back to his normal day, working different side gigs, but later that day, when Cruz goes home, his mother asks who he has been sleeping with. Cruz responds, "Her name is Sarah." His mother asks, "Is she a nice girl?" Cruz says, "Yeah, she helps me get less stressed. Less stressed out by all the criminal charges and the hate everyone has for me." The mother asks if she has watched the biography that Cruz's brother made before he died. Cruz says, "Probably." Cruz then starts to clean out the dishes and switch clothes to help out his mother and his family. As Cruz starts taking the trash out, Sarah, her car is parked across the street. Cruz walks up to her car to see what she wants. As he walks up to her car, Sarah tells him to get into her car since she found some cocaine. Cruz hesitates for a second, then goes into her car since he trusts her. They drive to Sarah's house, and then she asks if he has ever done cocaine, or used it at all. Cruz says, "No, but how did you get it?" Sarah says, "Well, I found a load of contraband and a drug trade across the town. It was just that I could take a bit of extra." Cruz says, "Oh, well, did you know that my mother actually asked about you?" Sarah says, "Oh, really? Now, did you tell her?" Cruz says, "Well, I told her you were my friend and you helped me when I was stressed. She already figured that you were sleeping with me, or that we were sleeping with each other, and she also asked if you watched my biography for my brother." Sarah says, "Well, of course I watched your biography. It was the most popular movie when it came out. But speaking of that, why do you hate it so much?" Cruz says, "The producer who had that movie made edited the footage, made it look like as if I killed my brother. And I would have never used that footage. I would have reused the footage, make it look correct, because I never did kill my brother. They made all the allegations make me the villain, when I never did any of that. Sarah says, well, okay, that's deep. Are you ready to party? Cruz hesitates for a second and says, yes. The two start fooling around on cocaine, and then suddenly a car light illuminates. At the front of this house, Star tells Cruz to grab clothes, and quickly, he has to go now. Cruz grabs the clothes that he can find and he starts running. He starts running as fast as he can. He starts running home. Yet halfway through, he notices that he must have left his phone at her nightstand. It doesn't matter. He must keep running. As he's running, some guy passes by on a bike and says, "Dude, you sure are fast." Cruz quickly yells, "Thank you." Then he keeps running. As he opens the front door of his house, he then suddenly gets detained. As Cruz is detained, he asks, "Why is this happening?" Then Cruz is sent to the state prison. As he gets into the state prison, the cops tell him that they found his current phone, his car, and loads of his DNA all over sexually assaulted minors. This is all at an abandoned warehouse they found, quite a few miles away, as well as 3 kilos of cocaine. Cruz asks, "How is that possible? He never would have done any of this." The officer asks, "Who do you think could have done this? Do you know anyone who could have done this to you?" Cruz says, "Well, no, I don't think so. Not anyone that I should know, no." Cruz then, with his calls Sarah, yet she doesn't respond. Cruz says she must be confronting her husband or something. She'll call me later, hopefully. After 3 weeks, Cruz is met by his mother. As she arrives, she asks, angrily, "Cruz, who have you been spending time with since they found cocaine in your system as well as your sperm all over sexually assaulted children?" Cruz says, "I've been spending time with Sarah." His mother asks, "Sarah, who?" Cruz says, "Sarah Smith." His mother asks, "Who is Sarah Smith?" Cruz says, "It's my middle school teacher." His mother says, "Your middle school teacher's that was named Smith was Sophia Smith, not Sarah Smith." "And why would you date your middle school teacher?" His mother runs out angrily, and Cruz starts thinking. He starts drawing Sarah's face on the back of a poster. Hopefully the next person who visits him can see this photo of her. This photo drawn onto the back of a poster. 6 weeks after Cruz has been originally incarcerated, he's met by a visitor. This visitor is a detective. This detective was told there is more to Cruz's story. Immediately, Cruz shows the detective his photo that he drew of Sarah's face. He says, "She gave me the cocaine. That cocaine that was in my system, she gave me it." The detective says, "So, we were told this is Sophia Smith. She told us she was Sarah. She quit 7 weeks ago." Cruz says, 7? I've only been here 6 weeks. She told me she got the cocaine from a drug raid." The detective notes that fact and says, "This crime had every bit of your DNA on it, which is odd, since a crime scene usually does not have hair, blood, spit, fingerprints, and sperm." The detective asks if he is sure that she did this, because he won't be able to get out of prison until they can confirm the allegations. And that may take years for all they know, since she is far gone by now. Cruz confirms that he is sure, but he doesn't get why she would have done this to him. She loved him. The detective says, "Well, it seems to be the perfect plan. Using you. Slowly taking each form of your DNA. From any point they want. Any point she wanted. placing your phone in your car at the crime scene, as well as putting cocaine in your system, that ensured the effect that you would be incarcerated. And why would she frame you? Because she didn't want to be framed herself. Yet, I do believe your mother helped out. Since she identified this as Sophia Smith, they would have been lost on their tracks as they were looking for Sarah Smith. Cruz asks, How? How would you be sure that she would take my phone and my car? The detective says, you told us that you left your phone at Sarah's house when seeing her husband in the driveway. And she picked you up that night, so you were not in your car. Now, were you sure the husband was there? There in the driveway. The detective gets up and says, well, I'll do my best, though. I'll do what I can, but we need to confirm that she's a pedophile, that she framed you for all this. And good luck. God knows what they'll do to you in here. Welcome back. Now today's free ad goes to my favorite company, the best company in the whole wide world. Dr. Pepper. They come in many sizes. This is a small size, thin and simple. Or, good kid, Dr. Pepper Long. Dr. Pepper Long and Dr. Pepper Mini are two different things. Here are them side by side. Dr. Pepper Long and Mini. One is long, the other is mini. Mini sizes, long sizes. What's the difference? They do the same thing. They both fill you up. Pause. Now, I'm going to tell you, I did not like this story. I did not like writing it. I did not like that I have to play this character. But I thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go to sleep now. I hope that you liked that story. Now, since it never ends, let the show begin.